Hey, it's me again. I'm listening to what Bill Maher? Oh, I don't know how to say this. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say his name. What's that movie, Religulous, I saw one time? I thought I'd be satisfied watching that because having to deal with a lot of people that are supernaturally disconnected to reality, but his movie was mostly about making fun of ignorance and making it entertaining, which promotes redneckism. So that means he'll never be out of work. He's creating more work in his culture for himself. I don't think he'd want me on his show, and the reason that he would not like having me on his show is that I would be able to do things like the lady there that didn't call him on it, but I think she's able to see it. She just wants to be a guest on his show because everybody wants to be heard. Is I don't think Bill can tell the difference when he agrees or disagrees, let's say, with Whoopi on what the larger issue is and what a statement is. Because, I mean, he says he disagrees, but if we repeat, let's say, the statement of what Whoopi said, and I say, what exactly do you disagree with on that statement? We would see that he's confusing a statement, which has to be clarified more by the speaker, and which wasn't really given much of a chance, and also, the position of somebody on something. And if I was on his show and I would disagree with him in ways that I could point out, that he's very hyped up on making fun of the ridiculous, but not ready to see the ridiculous in his own inconsistencies. Is I'd be able to do this within one time being on his show, but I also noticed that he would more and more joke and talk over me and not let me finish when he would feel that I'm heading that way on that road. And if he'd let me get on that road, he would keep growing. And we need somebody with that courage to keep growing in their ability to exercise reason. But I can tell you, with his personality right now and his attitude towards, his popularity, even with Jordan Peterson or anybody else, is they are defending that. They are defending the popularity and the points of followers and all this stuff. They don't realize. And again, I would be susceptible to that. And it's one of the reasons that I'm quite happy to not recommend people like or subscribe or notify when I post a new video, is I run the risk of that and losing my ability to reason. Plus, I know that what I say has to be documented and not necessarily heard at a time where it's not going to make a difference because the system crash will come. So my videos are very much about charting over time my congruence and how everything is connected together with these higher priorities of worldviews, such as ecocentric type thinking, putting children first, the mental health that affects majorities that still is not recognized and therefore increases the ones that used to be minorities to become the majority. Anxiety, depressions, paranoia, which leads to everything else. So I'm stating these now because my theory on HSD, all these videos, you'll see there's no incongruences. And the things that change slightly over time as I explain them, it's part of a growth or it's part of new data or new patterns and new relationships between social systems that I've acknowledged. One thing I asked a group called the Ecology of Systems Thinking one time is, hey, I wish I had peers. I wish you guys were who you claim to be, because I'm looking to try to answer something about my theory that I don't know. Why HSD accelerates at a way that I can't explain. And I can't tell the difference between a redneck that is an MP that just is celebrated and liked by most of his peers at the Parliament and the House of Commons to a redneck smoking pot and helping somebody, get fuel for their vehicle to keep them warm. There's no difference between that redneck and the redneck in the Parliament building. But I'm noticing that both of them equally have the phenomenon of HSD creating a dysfunction in their brains equally the same, and it was speeding up. So I needed an answer, and I figured it out on my own a few years ago. And I tried to explain it one time to somebody, and, they need to start with the basis of what it is I'm talking about with HSD.
which is a variety of human domestication syndromes and what it's done to our brains. And once I got that final answer, pretty much final, everything else is pretty much very well tuned about my theory, is I could chart what's coming in the future, but also chart what happened in the past in a more objective way. And everything matched up. Everything matched up so well that that's why I call it a grand unification theory. If I was going to explain this to him, who is capable of thinking in more critical ways than the average person, it would still not be possible within one show or two show or three shows. He'd probably lose patience even if he committed to having me on as often as that, because he'd need to get out of his own ego of being famous with this stuff and take a break from his show and spend time with me and walk around and see this, what do you think about this? Because I'd need to chart his own progress with understanding all the schemas on the way to getting the big picture of this grand unification theory of HSD.